Florida Army National Guard, aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, tune in to the Dr. Bob Martin Show. From erectile dysfunction to eczema, heartburn to headaches, carpal tunnel to how to lower cholesterol drug-free. Sunday mornings at 10 on Talk 1470 WNN.
Talk health, talk wealth, talk politics, talk 1470 and 95.3 FM WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to Turk Radio, the only tag team husband and wife show on the air. Straight up conservative talk for the not-so-silent majority. Hi, welcome back to Turk Talk Radio. It's Monday again, and here we are live streaming to Turk Law Group and AMP2 TV. And as you can see, I'm wearing blue today because today is not just a conservative show. We're on a bipartisan issue today. Today, we're talking pot. Cannabis, as Mr. Turk likes to say.
And who do we have on the show?
Well, we actually have on the show, we have Andrew with Cannabis News Florida, which is a newspaper that's throughout South Florida that focuses on the issue of cannabis. And we have Dion with us, who is a co-counsel for Turk Law Group. And you guys are doing a lot of work in the cannabis space, Mr. Turk. Why don't you tell everybody about that?
That's why we have Dion here today. She is a tax attorney. She's an expert, in my opinion, in this space.
In your opinion or in everybody's opinion? Because I feel like she's an expert, too.
But she has to say it. I can't tell her she's an expert. Today she did continuing legal education on this space, so by definition, she is an expert.
And I love that you're wearing green. It's kind of, your shirt is kind of marijuana colored.
Yes. Came with a theme.
I like it. We all went with the theme tonight.
But let's talk with Andrew the first half, if that's okay.
Let's do it. Andrew, what changes you? What made you and prompted you to do this paper?
Well, you know, my family's been involved in South Florida Hospital News for over 15 years. And when the law passed about almost 2 years ago, a little longer maybe, we all sat back and went, this is a big change. This is needed. Everybody needs it. So we decided, let's add a small part of the paper to cannabis. So my father started a little bit here, added a little more. And I got into it about 1.5 years ago. And the only reason I got into it was because I have no problem saying I was prone to blood clots, or I am prone to blood clots, and would go into a hospital, and the only thing somebody could give me was opioids. And I'm not just saying Tylenol or codeine. I'm talking fentanyl. I'm talking oxy. I'm talking anything you can imagine.
All the things that are a part of this opioid crisis that we've discussed so much on this show and that I discuss so much and that we're also involved in because it affects everybody.
It does.
Everybody.
And just to jump, if everybody doesn't really know how bad opioids are, I think it was in Nebraska, somebody that was killed in the death penalty or, a death row was killed using fentanyl.
I saw that.
Yeah. I think it was like 2 weeks ago.
I saw
that.
They
used fentanyl to kill somebody.
They were actually trying to block his death penalty because they were trying to say that using fentanyl on him to kill him was cruel and unusual punishment. They were trying to cite the opioid epidemic and some of the other things that are happening,
and
to bring attention to that.
But marijuana that you can't overdose on, you can't die from, is worse than that. It's higher Schedule I drug than anything.
There's no medicinal value whatsoever over it, right?
So I got into it, and I was in hospitals, and when I would leave, the only thing I remember was him saying, here's pills, here's a patch, here's how you're going to take care of yourself. I said, okay, I didn't know any else. So I went to an event, and I left the event. Somebody said, here, you should try just CBD. Now, if anybody knows medical cannabis, there's CBD and there's THC.
Yeah.
The THC is the high effect. CBD is the medicinal part of it. So you can take just CBD without the THC, and you can get that at local doctor stores and so forth.
Well, and for somebody, anybody who's out there who maybe doesn't know the difference between CBD and THC, like this is something that I'm just learning now because I think a lot of us don't really understand the difference. But I've heard from people who are taking the CBD that they find that it also really relaxes them.
Because everybody has receptors in their body. And I blow everybody with this fact that some people have told you that they'll never take CBD. They've never taken CBD. The CBD has no effect on them. The first time somebody ever gets CBD in their body is when they're breastfed when they're a baby. CBD is given to you right then and there. So you get in your body, it acts the receptors.
So is CBD a naturally occurring substance that's not only in marijuana but in other things?
Kind of, sort of, comes from the marijuana plant, but you can get it in other things.
Okay.
But it comes from the marijuana plant. So, like I said, you got CBD and get medical any day. You can go to the store right now and get. You don't need your license or your card to get that.
But what happens if they take a marijuana test? Say you're working for someone and your employer has a marijuana
CBD.
test.
So all CBD that's given out right now has the 0.03% of THC in it, and it's the state law or federal law right now, or whichever you want to say it is. That is not illegal. Everything. Now there are some that have 0 THC in it, but if it has anything more than 0.03, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, 0.03, that is too much THC. Now, if you take a drug test or and so forth with CBD, it will not show up on that. Now, medical marijuana, and I will preface this: if you have a medical marijuana card and you go to a dispensary, there's 13 dispensary licenses out there, about 50 storefronts. If you take medical marijuana and then you take a drug test, it will show up on a drug test.
It will show up. And it's the THC that they're testing for. So
That's
even
correct.
if you have a small quantity of THC, which is what is legal in Florida, you'll still test positive on that drug
And the
test.
big thing is if everybody knows, THC stays in your body. And I say
What is it, 30 days?
30 to 45 days. So even if I took it today, my medical,
Right.
in 3 weeks I go for a job interview, and they go, you got the job, go take a drug test.
Right.
It could still be in my system.
And how do you feel, it brings up a very interesting question because, for somebody like me, I'm pretty accepting. I think it's a natural, holistic way to look at things. I'd much rather have somebody who is taking marijuana than somebody who's taking an opioid. But how would you advise somebody? I mean, what do you do in this day and age? Let's say you have a medical marijuana card. Do you find that there's a stigma with employers still?
Well, I mean, I think it's up to a lot of employers, but there's been cases, you guys might have heard that somebody has medical marijuana card, state issued. I mean, you have the card. It looks just like a driver's license. You have your medicine. It's helping you fight cancer. It's helping you decrease pain on something. MS, whatever you have. And then you go to see your employer, and the employer does a random drug test and says, sorry, you're fired. And you're like, wait a second. That was 30 days ago. It's not in my system.
And
Sorry.
then meanwhile, the person
Right.
who is on Percocet
Is okay.
Is still
Is
employed
okay.
because they have, prescription
Right.
that's more widely, I would just say, socially
Right.
accepted.
And now
almost
I
in a
will
way.
say this: there are some employers that are considering. I don't know if there are who they are, or what they are, so don't think I know. But there are some that are considering taking marijuana off of the drug test or allowing somebody that has a medical card to be okay. But the problem is when you do that with the medical card, you're supposed to do it in a private establishment or in your own home. So if you take it at night, let's say you take it at 2 o'clock in the morning, do you still have that feeling at 8 o'clock when you go into work? They don't want it while you're in the office or doing your job and
Right.
so forth. So,
But again, you're saying that, but I don't know. I mean, I've taken Vicodin before when I
Exactly.
had dental work, and that was pretty screwed up. It wasn't a good feeling. I couldn't function.
I mean, it sounds really bad that I could take a Vicodin. You're not supposed to. You could take a Vicodin and get in a car and drive. Somebody pulls you over for maybe running a stop sign. They'll go, you ran a stop sign. You go, okay, I'm sorry, officer. Here's your ticket. Have a nice day.
Right.
If you're in marijuana and you have a vape pen in your car, you get pulled
You
over.
could get arrested, or end up with a hefty fine or whatever. I mean, I don't know what they do, but it seems like it's a big
Different
risk.
cities are changing their
But
rules.
that's another problem because if you get caught in one town, you're okay, and then you're caught the next town over.
I'll blow your mind on this, and you know this too, that I have my medical marijuana card for the state of Florida. I get mine filled here in Miami-Dade County. I have my medical marijuana in my hand. I cannot go to Tampa with my medicine.
Wow.
I could not fly on an airplane from Fort Lauderdale to Orlando to Tampa to Jacksonville to Pensacola. Legally.
And not that you wouldn't do it. You do
But I
everything
cannot
legally.
get on that airplane because it's FAA with my even though I'm staying inside my state.
It's pretty unbelievable. I definitely want to talk about your paper though, and I want to make sure that while we have you here for a few more minutes, we talk about why you started this newspaper and also who's advertising your new newspaper and what kind of businesses there are. Because obviously people know what a dispensary is, they know what a doctor is, but what else do you see and where can people get CBD products?
I think the biggest thing in our paper is people are advertising because they want to be in front of doctors, patients, and the other people inside cannabis. So there are insurance companies. That's the other thing doctors need to be aware of.
Insurance companies.
Medical malpractice insurance that you have for your practice might not cover you in a cannabis case.
Right, and
You
most
might-
likely they won't.
Right. So you might have to get a separate rider or an addendum to your policy with an insurance company that does cannabis insurance.
And are those easy to get, or are there a lot of cannabis insurance companies out there?
A handful, but you got to remember, there's a lot of them out west. But a lot of them don't have the rights to Florida. So there's a handful in Florida. Attorneys. I mean, I always tell anybody, if you start in the cannabis world, have an attorney on speed dial.
And they should call Turk Law Group. I mean, that's really what they should do.
Yeah.
And then, CBD is sold. You can go down to local hemp stores, puff stores, whatever you want to call them, and you can get CBD.
Vape stores.
My recommendation,
health food stores.
right, is to go inside of a doctor's office. Because if a doctor's holding that bottle of CBD or product in his office or her office, they've tested it, they recommend it. It's not just something on a shelf.
So it's like going to get Botox. I'm going to equate it to that. Because if you're going to go and get Botox, you should get it from somebody who's reputable. You shouldn't get it from somebody in your kitchen.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's the same thing. You're talking about purity standards and making sure that you're getting really
making sure your CBD is tested. And you see the papers and you see that there's no pesticides, that you do make sure that there's not that much THC in there, because there's been some CBD that's been taken by the federal government. They've tested it and gone, oh, wait, there's 1% THC in here.
Wow.
And people don't know it. Even though the bottle doesn't say it, they don't know. So you got to make sure it's tested.
Is there a warning, like, warnings that say may contain peanuts in a peanut factory? Does it say may contain more THC
than labeled?
Each bottle says, product contains 0.03% or 0.3%, whatever the number that is, on all the bottles. But unless you've seen the white papers and you've seen the lab reports, you don't know.
What is the future of marijuana, do you think, here in our local market? What's your opinion, being this expert that has this newspaper? What do you see?
This is what I see, and I've told this to every single person that asked me that question. If anybody remembers Apple computers when they started in the garage, that is marijuana, medical marijuana, recreational marijuana in the state of Florida.
So you think the future's bright?
There's no question.
There's no question. Like money is green, and that things are going to prosper, and that it's going to become more widely accepted.
My whole argument on it is, if it didn't work and it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do,
you wouldn't have a newspaper.
And we wouldn't have everybody fighting for it, like to take it away, or Big Pharma to come. Like, you wouldn't have so many people fighting.
And
I talk about this all the time, because with topics, like if it's an important topic, then people want to talk about it. There's a tension and controversy. That's something that's important to talk about.
Tell me, 2 years ago, did you ever expect to drive down the street and see a sign on a building that says marijuana doctor?
No. And I never expected to see a guy standing on the street corner with an arrow that says CBD products and a picture of a big pot leaf on it. I didn't see this really coming. I think I was more surprised at how quickly this has worked. I hope it works quicker, because we've seen a lot of the differences. Evan's done, CBS 12 and some other local network news stuff where he's talked to families.
We were covering this right before Amendment 2 was coming out, and I was blessed to be asked to be on CBS to discuss it, and we interviewed a family, and it's amazing when you have someone suffering. And how
a child with seizures, that this was the only thing, and her mom said, this is changing my child's life.
That's right.
Without this, my daughter would be suffering from seizures multiple times per day, but when she has her medicine, she's better.
Okay. She's okay.
I mean, that to me is just mind-boggling. It's hard to believe that something like that just wouldn't be automatically accepted and automatically legal, and there's all this controversy around it.
It really is. It's hard to say. A life-saving, I don't like using the word medicine, because it's a very gray area on saying it's medicine, but it works. And I'm not going to say it works on every single person that tries it. I've known people that have tried it and go, Andrew, it doesn't do anything for me. I'm like, no problem. But it does work, because I've seen it, my family's seen it, other people have seen it. It's just how it does.
Tell us how we can get in touch with you on social media. Okay. So we get 2 seconds.
Cannabis News Florida. Just Google Cannabis News Florida. You'll see us on the web, and then you can see us on Facebook.
And check us on our website.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we're going to put a link to his. We'll put your link on our website. Sounds good.
We got 2 minutes to.
We got 2 minutes? I thought we were going to break now.
I think you're going to sing.
Oh, really? I might sing.
I think we are.
We're on break. Fabulous.
I am Evan Turk, the author of Asset Protection by Design. As a former Wall Street executive, I understand the problems with traditional estate planning that could cost you and your family a fortune. We work in collaboration with financial advisors, CPAs, and other professionals. Let us plan for your future while protecting your money today. Whether it's divorce, creditors, or just unnecessary litigation. Once you amass your fortune, no matter how big or small, there will be savvy people trying to profit from your hard work. We live in a litigious society, after all, a culture of entitlement pitted against hardworking families. Don't let your sacrifices be their victory. We're offering a free copy of my book, Asset Protection by Design. Simply log on to our Facebook page at Turk Law Group. We love email too. Our email address is info@palmbeachlawoffices.com. Also, look out for my next book being released this December 10th, titled Divorce Your Spouse, Not Your Assets. Remember, a failure to plan is just merely a plan to fail. We look forward to protecting your hard-earned work.
You've been listening to Turk Radio, the tag team of radio. Don't forget to tag us on social media.
No one's We're back
and
on
we're
the
back.
air.
We're back. We're talking pot or marijuana or legalizing cannabis or any of those good things you want to talk about. And I'm here now. We're back with our guest, Dion, and, of course, my husband, Evan Turk from Turk Law Group. And we're talking cannabis law tonight.
Yes. What a weird transition in my practice. We were doing a lot of estates and trust work and a lot of elder planning. And we had clients in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and sometimes even in their 90s talking about this.
It's so interesting. And then, of course, there's the whole financial component, the taxation, and the stuff that you love to do with asset protection by design and the financial part of your practice. And I think that that's been a really big catalyst to us getting involved in this space, too.
Yeah, I'm a little analytical, would you say?
Maybe just a little. But, Dion, you're going to be co-counsel to Turk Law Group.
Of counsel.
Of counsel to Turk Law Group, and you're going to be working in this space. So what are you going to be doing with the firm, and what is your expertise?
So I have my LLM in taxation, and what I do is I'm an ancillary part to a firm. So I help businesses plan properly for the taxation that they're going to get for medical marijuana companies. So there's this IRS code 280E. It says that anybody that's trafficking Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 drug, where marijuana is considered a Schedule 1 drug, they can only deduct the cost of goods sold. So if you have a traditional marijuana business, medical or recreational, you're going to be taxing upwards of 70% if you do not do proper planning.
Wow, 70%.
One thing I want to discuss, you have an LLM in taxation.
Nobody
knows what an
I don't know what an LLM is. Why don't you tell me what an LLM is? Because I certainly don't know.
It's a Latin word, legum magister, but it's my master's in taxation. So I finished law school 2006. I just actually finished the LLM in May, and I got it from Villanova. And it was very difficult to get, but I'm glad that I did it because I know I can tax plan anything for anybody. But I chose this space because I moved to Colorado in 2015, October. I moved there for about 2 years. And when I was there, I was in the insurance industry for a little bit because I couldn't practice there. And so that's what got me interested in the cannabis space. So I knew when I came back to a jurisdiction I can practice in, then I would take advantage of all of my knowledge.
That's amazing. And wait, and you got the best knowledge because you were kind of in Colorado, and that's kind of a hot spot to be for pot.
It was a huge hot spot. I learned so much. They're about 5 years ahead of where we are in Florida. And so I see their pitfalls. And so that right now, Colorado has this law or this proposal that in the event the federal government turns recreational marijuana illegal, all of their recreationals can convert into medical facilities so that they're not violating the law.
Oh, so there's kind of like an out there. There's something built in case things don't go the way that I think a lot of us are hoping that they do.
It's called the Plan B.
It's definitely the Plan B.
I like that a lot. And you've made a comment, which I think is a really good comment, as you said, Florida is about 5 years behind Colorado. So your expectation is that in a few years, we're going to be where Colorado is, meaning recreational marijuana will be legal?
I believe so. So, For recreational marijuana, it might take a little bit more time. Medical, I'll say we're 5 years behind.
Okay, so we're 5 years on medical. What's your, because I think there's a lot of people listening, you know, I mean, not that everybody's not interested in tax and law and all these super interesting topics, but I would say that there's probably some people that are on my Facebook that are wondering what your opinion is as a lawyer. When do you think recreational marijuana will be legal?
I think once they get all of the laws in order, because there's still a lot of things. So right now there's 14 licenses that's being given out, and in July a judge in Leon County, I want to say, he banned. So there was a limit for how many licenses could be given. So the judge banned that limit. So now there's not like 7 per year or 17 for places that can have licenses. Anybody can, if they meet the criteria, then anybody can get the license.
Anybody can get a license.
Right. Any person that meets the criteria, which, I mean, it's slowed down because in the beginning, you had to be, like, if you were a nursery, you had to be in business for over 35, 40 years. But now 5 years.
And didn't you have to pay $65,000?
You still have to pay $65,000.
Application.
It's $65,000. You're not guaranteed. If it's a $65,000 application fee, you're not guaranteed that you're going to get that application approved.
Right. $65,000 application fee. Every 2 years when you renew, another $65,000, and you have to have a $5 million bond in order to apply. So sometimes you have to pay the full $5 million, or you have to pay a percentage of it. But it's a very expensive process. So that's why you need to do the planning in the beginning, so that you don't get into the business and then get bankrupt.
So what kind of business should call Turk Law Group, and what kind of business are we looking for to be our clients and to help with this taxation issue?
Sure. Any parties interested in getting into this industry, before you even do your application, you need to come to us, because we need to determine business structure. We need to determine, how to lessen your tax hit. And once we determine the business structure, then we can go from there. So the business structure being an LLC or a corporation, or a LLC taxed as a corporation, and that really depends on your objectives.
And people talk all the time about various things in this industry, but the one thing they always talk about is banking. How do you have a bank account? Okay, so having a bank account is difficult. So banks are federally chartered. And marijuana is a Schedule I drug, making it federally illegal. So banks don't want to touch you. So the way that you can get around it, if you are allowed to bank, state chartered banks, because it's legal within the states, or you could use credit unions. Most people don't want to touch it because there's a lot of work that goes into it, even for the banks. So while, like, in a regular business, if a bank finds something suspicious, they file a SAR, suspicious activity report. For marijuana businesses, from day one, they have to file a SAR, and it's a marijuana SAR. There's 3 different types, and there's so much extra work, because it falls on the bank. If you're, helping people launder money or do illegal things, then your business is going to get shut down.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to think that, like, in some ways that it's legal, and again, just for a layman like me, in some ways it's illegal, but in some ways it's so complicated. So really, we're looking at any business that's going to get in the business of marijuana in Florida is really somebody that should be calling our firm.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of larger firms out there. I've heard some names being tossed around, but I think one of the advantages that you guys have as a firm at Turk Law Group is the fact that you are more of a boutique firm, and that you have been in the asset protection space and taxation for a long time.
Right, and personal attention.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the fact that, of course, I'm married to you, but, And
I'm smart enough to be working with someone.
Absolutely. Somebody like Dion. There you go. Absolutely.
It takes a lot of brains to realize what you're good at and what you're great at.
Yeah. So in Colorado, what was the one thing that you saw that had the most impact on the industry as a whole that you think is going to be coming here to Florida?
I mean, politicians have to get behind it. I mean, really, in Colorado, they were on the same page.
Okay.
In Florida,
we're not.
We're getting on the same page, because, like, South Florida versus Central Florida versus North Florida, different pages. So, like, I think, we're creeping up the getting it to be less of a taboo topic.
But let me ask you, in Central Florida and North Florida, are they less open-minded to this or more?
I don't want to say that, because it's the judge in Leon County that struck down the limit. So literally, I think it's just a particular
But wouldn't you be able to grow a lot of cannabis in Central and
Would it be an
Northern
agricultural win? I don't know.
It would be. If they allow it, it would be definitely be an agricultural win, because I mean, this is a
Sunshine State.
And we have we can produce more like products, agriculture than anybody because we have great weather. And, you know, other than our citrus, we can
which is pretty much a dying industry at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at big sugar and you look at the pollution and you look at all the issues there, I would think it would be an agricultural win.
It would, and you can grow it outside, you could grow it inside. I mean, there's so many different options. It's just more so. I think that the problem that we're having is that they have to figure out where the money is going to go and who's going to benefit from it. And until they figure that out, I think there's always going to be a problem.
So it's always the problem always comes down to money. It always comes down to money.
At one time, cannabis was legal. So maybe here's the political
Reefer
twist.
Reefer madness. That was a long time ago, Mr.
But maybe
Turk.
that's what our president meant by Make America Great Again.
Maybe. Ooh. Well, you know, I presented tonight on Facebook and everywhere else that I posted about this being a bipartisan issue, and I got a little like pushback. I put up a picture of Obama with what we can presume is a marijuana joint in his mouth. I mean, I don't know whether or not that's been confirmed.
But he told everyone he knew how to inhale. Remember that?
He did. And I put that up because I felt like this was finally something. And I even wore blue. I didn't wear my normal signature Republican red because I felt like this was a topic tonight that maybe in some way politically, as we're so divided as a country, that maybe marijuana could be something that we could all kind of come to some sort of agreement on.
I agree.
Doesn't everybody like marijuana?
I think they do.
Well, I mean, and I would think so too. And
you would think they would, like, they have the Got Milk campaign.
Got marijuana, got pot. I think there was actually, I think at one time there was some dispensary or something that had that slogan, got pot. It might have been somebody out in Colorado. I think I saw something at some point.
There's a Starbucks. There's so many different things in Colorado, so many different, names. There's like dispensaries. So like the competition part of it doesn't even matter because there's just literally 5 dispensaries on one corner.
And what a huge business opportunity. But, again, for Florida, I mean, we're talking about an agricultural win. We're talking about a business win. We're talking about economic development.
Think about how much money was raised in Colorado.
A lot. Like where I lived, literally the roads were perfect. They would do, construction and it'll be over in like 2 weeks and the roads are
2
perfect.
weeks?
Schools,
oh, that's not like here.
No, not here. Not.
By the way, we have
But Florida's not good. We have less than 2 minutes. So, again, follow us at Turk Law Group. We're going to definitely have to pick up this topic again because this pot, marijuana, cannabis thing, I can tell that this is a discussion that we need to continue to have. So maybe we'll have another bipartisan show.
Although the substance might not be addicting, the show will be.
That's really good. That was great. That was a good line.
A little cheesy, but...
Zion, thank you so much for coming on. Follow us at Turk Law Group on Facebook, and you can get in touch with us at www.turklawgroup.com. And I'm Karen Turk. That's my husband, Evan Turk. Follow me on Instagram at Mrs. Florida 2016.
You were Mrs. Florida?
I was.
Oh, when?
I was just for a minute during that election year.
Yeah,
when my favorite president won. Make America Great Again. Legalize marijuana. That's gonna be our new slogan.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Well, thank you again.
It's been a great show.
I see the on the air.
We're still on the air, so we're just gonna keep going. We'll just keep going. Awesome. Bye. Stay tuned. Thank you for listening to Turk Radio, the no-nonsense tag team news source for keeping America great. We'll see you next week.